Hey, this is Matt once again. We're back to another video. This is a paid request, this time for Tomas. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for the film Forever Strong, a 2008 film about this rugby team. I just based on a true story. Never knew anything about it. About Highland Rugby, which by the end they said their record was 361 wins and 9 losses. Hell of a record. It is a sports movie. It goes through typical tropes. Some would say it's kind of emotionally manipulative. But I thought it did its job well enough that I got invested in it, and overall I did like the film. Even though I don't know jack squat about rugby. But it stars Sean Faris, which I wasn't big on him and Never Back Down. I don't like that movie, but I thought here he did a bit better job. He plays a guy that's not a likable guy. But then you see that his dad, played by Neal McDonough, who's the coach of his team, he's not a likable guy either. So, like father, like son. And their team treat other teams pretty horribly. They'll clothesline them, they'll spit on them, and do anything they can to win. To Neal McDonough, all he cares about is winning. And Neal McDonough, he's been a lot of stuff. Usually bad movies like 88 Minutes with Al Pacino. He was Bison, The Legend of Chun-Li, that Street Fighter movie. That I could go on 20 minutes on that film, but so it'd be too much of a tangent. What the hell was that movie? But again, he's got a chip on his shoulders because of his dad, and things aren't really great at home. His mom's played Julie Warner. She was familiar. She was in Tommy Boy. She was kind of Chris Farley's girlfriend in Tommy Boy. She was in Doc Hollywood. She was in this film called The Puppet Masters with Donald Sutherland. But anyway, he's hanging with his friends, but he does a bit of drunk driving, gets in an accident. The passenger gets severely hurt, and he's put into a juvenile detention center. And the administrator is Sean Astin from The Goonies and Toy Soldiers, later on Lord of the Rings. And I thought he did a good job. Nice to see him there. He is treating people with respect. Of course, Sean Faris again has a chip on his shoulder. For a good chunk of the film, he's not likable, but again, that's the point: is that you see him change. I thought he did that fairly well acting wise. And disappointed Sean Astin says, "Hey, I've been here for 252 days, so I was where you were at." And is trying to get through to him. Other teammates who are on the team he was playing against at the beginning and disrespecting, they're trying to help him. I don't want to be part of your rugby team. Then he thinks, well, maybe I'll join and I'll maybe steal some secrets that they got. But ultimately sees how they run their drills. They're very tough. But they're also about family. They're about respect. In a way, at times, it feels like a Christian movie without much of the Christianity. I don't know how to put it. It just kind of has that feel to it of those type of movies, with the way it's shot and the way some of the dialogue is showcased. But I guess I wouldn't say it's too preachy. It's hard, it's in the right place, and that could go a long way. And at first, he's not sure about these guys because, oh yeah, you don't lie, will you? Bunch of choir boys, okay. But they're very much about tradition, family, respect. At our backs, we feel the might of tradition, respecting each other. And then he starts kind of, I say, succumbing to their influence, but in a good way. He starts realizing. Now, I do think, while I do like the film, I don't know if there's footage missing or what, but it's like it gets to a point where the players suggest him for captain material. I don't know why. I'm sitting there going, okay, he's being nicer to them, and he's starting to learn how to play like they play. But it's not like he really does any big moves. It's not like he's really giving any big advice. He's not, oh wow, he really surprised me doing this and that. It's just, okay, he's being tolerable. But I really don't get why they make him a captain. But even the lead guy's confused as well, so I'm as confused as him, and I don't even really think we get that good of an answer. But the team starts winning as he's getting to know a bit of these guys. Like there's one guy who makes a tradition to not shower for the whole season. But you don't get a whole lot of depth into the other characters. You don't get to know them a whole lot. So spoiler, there's spoilers from here on out. There's a part where it almost seemed completely random, but they stopped to help someone change a tire. I guess there's someone drunk driving as well. Swerve hits the guy. This is the guy that was helping Sean Faris throughout the film, But like a couple times. But then there are times where he either tolerated his presence or kind of blew him off a bit before that. And then that teammate dies. And we see, wow, this came out of nowhere. Where the hell did this come from? And then Sean Faris says at the funeral, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. I'm like, well, he talked to you a couple times, but I don't remember any real deep dialogue between the two of you. A couple of brief exchanges. There's a bit where him and another guy paint some tattoos or stuff on your arms, which recites kind of the stuff that they do, this ritual at the beginning of each game, this little dance ritual thing. At times he tries to get you involved, but I don't remember a ton of real big heart-to-heart dialogue, whether about their parents or their dads or anything. At least with that guy. So I thought, again, were there scenes done that were missing? I mean, maybe Tomas can clue me in, if you're watching Tomas. Maybe clue me in. Maybe that's just me. I expected a bit more. But what made the film work for me is the rugby scenes, not knowing much about them, seeing how intense and how dangerous they can be, learning a bit of the game as it goes along. That was interesting because we're so used to basketball, football, those type of games. So again, I knew of rugby, but if I told you I watched a single game, I'd be lying to you. So the sport itself at least made it a little bit different. It may seem a bit not over dramatic, but I'm trying to think what the word is. Pandering or sugary sweet. But I did like the development of the father character, which he's a bit non-entity in the first half, the Neal McDonough, but he's definitely a bit more prevalent in the third act, and he sees how his son has changed, and you do see him kind of gain respect for his son, which I actually didn't mind. It maybe grew to not mind Neal McDonough by the end of the movie, and I thought that kind of change in course. There were some heartfelt moments. Gary Cole, as the main coach of the current team, that Sean Faris is on. He did a great job. But I really liked him as an actor. He's the guy that played the boss in Office Space. Yeah, I'm going to have you come in on Sunday. Yeah. He's done a lot of other stuff, but I thought he was really good as the coach here, and he's a guy that anybody would want as a coach. He doesn't hound on you. He lets you get your feet wet. Once in a while, he invites you over and talks, and he says some really nice bits of advice. Don't be angry about yesterday. And when you see Gary Cole and the way he treats players, you get why people respect the guy. You get why people would go fight with every breath for this guy during a game. You have to cast the right actor for that. Because if you don't, you'd be like, screw this guy. Who gives a crap what he says? I'll do whatever you want. I'll play with the thumb up my ass. And this in my pee hole. You'd be like, no, you get why. Even when he gets off probation and Neal McDonough, still being a very strict ass, says, you're coming home with me and you're playing on our team. As I know I don't want to. And then his former teammates are like spitting on him and they're giving him crap. And they're like spitting beer on him. So when Sean Faris gets arrested, he gets caught up in it. Until ultimately him and Neal McDonough have a nice heart-to-heart talk. Where we find out throughout the course of the film, Neal McDonough used to play for Gary Cole's team. He thought he was put in the wrong spot. He got hurt. He blames him for all of it. And then Neal McDonough's like, I don't want the same thing to happen to you. What happened to me? Like, Sean Faris and Neal McDonough, I thought they had a nice conversation. Granted, he seems to get out of jail or whatever too easily. But I try to remember the details of how that happened. It's one of those things that it had enough heartfelt moments that it made me like the film. I mean, there's plenty of other sports movies, whether it be Any Given Sunday or Rudy, speaking of Sean Astin, or many other films I would put above it. During the rugby scenes, I swear a lot of times I could not see Sean Faris's character. So it seems like a lot of it he doesn't do a whole lot during those scenes. Which, I mean, with a lot of other sports films, and you would see your main character, not every bit, but at least frequently from time to time, oh, he has this moment here. Okay, the other teams get their moments. Then he has this moment here. You don't really see much until the final bit. It seems like most of the games, he's non-existent. He's not in there. So because of that, it's kind of hard for me to even think of him as part of a team when I don't really get to see much of him playing. Unless I kept missing him. Maybe I did. So I do think it has its issues. Like I said, the supporting teammates, you don't, aside from maybe one or two where you find out about, one lost his parents and stuff, you don't get to know them a whole lot. The teammate that dies, I think there could have been a lot more interaction between him and Sean Faris to really showcase Sean Faris's loss of his teammate. The rugby scenes maybe incorporate Sean Faris a bit more during those scenes. The passenger that got hurt early in the film when he was drunk driving, to see more of what happened to her. Not great if she wanted nothing to do with him, I can understand that, but maybe some kind of like, hey, you're shaking hands, go separate ways, like some kind of culmination. I guess the teammate we know a bit more of is the other, like, captain, just because his sister, our lead character, has the hots for, and vice versa. So again, this seems like a movie that was a lot longer, but was truncated and shortened. Like, it's about hour and 40 some. Maybe it's not the case, but I'm just saying if it was found out that there was a lot more footage that was deleted, I would believe it. But like I said, I thought that the Sean Faris actually didn't do a bad job. I thought the other actors like Sean Astin, David Cole, they also did a nice job in being good father figure role models for this guy that needed at that time. Neal McDonough, you see they starting to change at the third act, and like when his son's getting hit, even chastises the players. I like the bit where he says, "Get up, or you just stay down and end up like me." I thought that I liked that dialogue exchange, and him helping his son up. I thought that was rather sweet. I did. Some people may say sugary sweet, but it's feel good. I mean, that's what these movies are supposed to do. Have a bit of a feel good mentality. And while I say you don't get a lot of depth on the team, I don't think they were bad either. At least they're like maybe a little bit of personality or a little bit of their vibe. The little bits you see, that at least there's something that they don't. I wouldn't say they're bland. You have the big guy who stands up, who at the beginning, when Sean Fair spit on him, he just licked the hand. Yeah. But now, of course, they're on the same team. He sticks up for Sean Faris, while these other former teammates try to hurt him. Sean Fair is able to get the point at the end. They win the game. Things work out for them at the end. Like I say, it has a good heart on its shoulders. If you're in the mood of a feel good sports movie that happens to involve rugby, like I say, it's a nice incorporation of Gary Cole and Sean Astin in there. Sean Astin doesn't do a whole lot in the second half of the film. He appears maybe 2 times. Once during the funeral, the other when it seems like Sean Faris is in trouble, but then they ultimately find out it wasn't his fault. One bit I did like about the story, again, spoilers, that I thought was refreshing. This is one bit early on where he's given this ball and there's like Vicodin pills. So you're sitting there going, okay, they're going to find out, and then he's going to be kicked out, and then he's going to try to bait his way back in. No. I like that. No, he chooses to get rid of the ball. He chooses on his own, not being threatened, not being caught, not being told. He on his own to show more of him changing, more of him stepping up to the plate, more of him wanting to be a better person. He makes the choice to throw it away, and no one knows about it. In fact, since the whole team's about honesty, he chooses to tell Gary Cole. And Terry Cole's like, okay, well, you'll be suspended for a game, but even on the sidelines, you may be a good captain there. So he'll still be a good captain there. Gary Cole's like, okay, I gotta punish you, but does it in a respectful manner. You see how Sean Faris really looks up to Gary Cole as the father figure he wishes he had. Not to ultimately reconnecting with his actual dad. Like I said, I think for a lot of people, they get some solid feel-good moments. I think those moments definitely help make the movie worthwhile to watch. In the tradition of films like Rudy and all those type of sports movies. Like I said, I just wish that maybe some of the characters, like the teammate who dies, they had a bit more really lengthy, concrete conversations with Sean Faris. Again, Some of the other characters were developed a bit more. Like I said, I don't know if it was meant to be a longer film or something else to that effect. And again, just to see Sean Faris more in the action scenes and the rugby scenes. I'm not saying every spot or every other spot, but at least a bit more, you know. But overall, I still liked it, despite some issues I had. I still liked it overall. At the end of the day, I thought it did its job, what it was supposed to. Made you feel good. Can't complain too much about that. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later.